Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Sarah Haas, and you're listening to the Boss Body Podcast. I'm so happy that you're here, and I am really looking forward to this conversation we're going to have today because I have Dee Davidson on the show. And Dee is a board certified functional health practitioner, and she also has some additional certifications in hormone health. And she is the host of the podcast Confidently Balance Your Hormones. Now, I know that being in my 50s and being on the other side of menopause and having gone through perimenopause, that's something that a lot of women, well, I mean, let's face it, we deal with hormones starting from our adolescent years, and we go through all these phases of change throughout our lives. And we have to navigate those. And with each change comes a lot of challenges. And a lot of times we don't really understand what's going on in our bodies. And it can be frustrating. We have these different symptoms that can be challenging, let's just say. And I wanted to have Dee on because she is the hormone expert. And she's going to talk to us about how we can get those hormones into balance, especially around those perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause years. Because let's face it, there's not enough information out there around the subject of hormones. And a lot of us are frustrated when we go to our doctor and we don't really get good answers. So I thought it was so important to have Dee on today because that is her area of expertise. So, Dee, I want to welcome you and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, before we get into all that you do and giving people some tips and some information about how to get their hormones balanced. I wanted you to just share a little bit about your history and how this became top of mind for you because you've been through quite a few challenges over your life.
Sure, I'd love to share. My story ebbs and flows, as I think most women will agree that our hormones, when we think we figured them out, then they start to shift again. We're like, no, what's going on? So I've had that happening pretty much my whole life, and just saw such a need for education around this topic. And because it really is something that women deal with their whole life, some really, really young. But for me, it started when I got my period. I had really bad periods, painful periods, heavy periods. I used to have to be dismissed every single month pretty much when I was in high school. And I thought, this is just part of being a woman. That's what I was told. And, people just deal with it. I didn't really know at that point that I probably was already experiencing some hormone imbalance. And then right before I got married, I think I shared this story with you. I was much heavier. I'm only 5 foot, tall, and weight goes on really easily if I don't watch it, and it shows up really um, apparently. So right before I got married, I was almost 50 pounds heavier than I am now, and that's a lot for someone who's 5 feet tall. And I started to question like what was going on because again, I wasn't out at McDonald's every day or drinking soda and things like that. But what was happening was I was in my 30s and my hormones were already changing. A lot of women don't realize that menopause can actually start up to 15 years prior, which is perimenopause. They don't really realize that their hormones can really start to shift at that point in their early 30s. So I had to hire someone that does what I do back then. By the grace of God, this woman was at my networking event and something resonated with me, and I hired her to really teach me about my hormones, go to the grocery store with me, and do all the things. So I was able to release that weight. And again, no quick fixes. It did take some time. I don't remember the exact timeline, but probably about at least a year to really get that 50 pounds off. And I was in the best shape of my life for a few years. And then what happened was I went to go conceive my son who's going to be 14, and I hit a wall and was up against infertility, or even worse in my book is unexplained infertility. It's frustrating no matter what, but to not have a diagnosis was just not not sitting right with me. So I started to join support groups around infertility and hormone health, and was really just frightened and angry at all the information that I was receiving and all the knowledge that I was opening in this box of infertility information around products that I was using. You know, for years I used Bath and Body Works. I burnt a different Yankee candle in every room. I was using Pantene. I was using Secret, and no one ever talked to me. I was already in the process of infertility treatments because I couldn't conceive. They make you wait a year. And no doctor talked to me about products that I use, plastics, water quality, liver detoxification. No one ever talked to me about that. What I heard over and over again was all the tests look good, your labs look fine. Just relax, it will happen. Maybe take a vacation, and it's just really, really dismissive. So fast forward, I was able to conceive my son through the blessing of IVF one round. Because there really was nothing wrong with the sperm quality or the egg quality, just my body didn't do what I needed it to do. So I really again saw, oh my gosh, like how many other couples are struggling with infertility and don't have this information. I started to clean up my body and go on this holistic journey after my infertility, journey. And so I started to do that. And then 2 years later, I had my son who's going to be 12, and there was no intervention. It was first try. And was it because I had balanced my hormones and cleaned up my lifestyle? I don't know, but I can tell you it was much easier. Also, the fact that I was on birth control from the age of 17, again, that's what I was told to do to help with my periods. From 17 until the age of, I didn't have my son till 36. I was on all those years and I was told it's safe, it's fine. But I really do think that the birth control, put my body into what I call a birth control coma. So now my body didn't know what to do on its own any longer. And B, birth control is really known to mess up your gut health, which I know you and I will get into, which is tied into hormone imbalance. So that was my real dive into understanding hormone health at a deeper level and how it was now also affecting not only weight and metabolism, but infertility. I'm like going, oh my gosh, like I thought hormones were just to have babies, but now you're starting to understand that hormones regulate everything, your brain, your nervous system, your thyroid, your metabolism, everything, your mood is regulated by your hormones. And so I got out of that, childbearing phase. And guess what? That 50 pounds was back again, Sarah. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm doing the things that, Shannon, my functional health practitioner at the time, taught me. And it's not working this time, right? So it's not working. So I had to relearn again. And some of that had to be found through lab testing and understanding that, yes, indeed, that likely all of these infertility drugs and the stress, you have emotional stress, you have physical stress, had disrupted my hormones. But you and I discussed this yesterday, that hormone disruption or hormone imbalance is just a symptom or a signal or a tap from God on your shoulder to look under the hood that something else might be going on. So that's when I really became passionate about functional labs, because I started to understand that there's probably other women out there that are frustrated with their hormones and are doing the things. They're showing up, they're doing the workouts, they're putting their legs up the wall to help the nervous system. They're eating healthy, and still they're not moving the scale, or maybe not sleeping well, or whatever the hormone imbalance is presenting in a symptom. And so I became really passionate about functional labs and was able to release the weight. And I'm proud to say my youngest son, is going to be 12, and I've been able to maintain the weight and not gone on and off that roller coaster. A lot of education, a lot of scientific data about my body, my metabolic type, what works for me, brought me here. And so I started my practice because I became, I guess, an expert before I was actually a certified expert in hormone health. People would send people to me, talk to Dee. She went through infertility. Talk to Dee. She had problems with her weight due to hormone health. I had a Facebook group of thousands of people, an unpaid just community because I wanted to help people. And then I said, you know what? I'm kind of looking for something to fill my cup, and I think this is my God-given purpose. I left the corporate world when I had my son 14 years ago, and I wanted something for me, but I wanted it to have purpose. And I just knew, well, this is how I can give back. I'm sometimes I feel like we're going through these things to be able to help other people who are going to go through them after we do. I really do believe that. So that's the reason that I opened my practice, and my focus is hormone health because I think that there is such a lack of education around it, and specifically the frustration of I'm doing the things and they're not working. My labs look fine according to my doctor. I just want to say that I'm sending so much love and compassion to anyone who feels this, because I have been that person many times with my own health and also my children's health.
Yeah, and I agree so much with what you're saying in that it's awesome that women are stepping up and deciding to take control over this issue and solve it for themselves. I myself have experienced frustration around hormones, and my listeners know that I had, a journey with breast cancer. And previous to that, I had very dense fibrocystic breasts.
Hmm.
And so when I would go to get exams, there would always be lots of lumps in there, but they were fluid filled. They weren't cancerous. And my mammograms just, it was like solid white where it should be clear. And one of the things that I found out previous to breast cancer was that the fibrocystic breasts can be a symptom of estrogen dominance. So, too much estrogen. And I had asked all my OBGYNs, I had asked at the breast health center, what is causing this? Because it was uncomfortable. I mean, it was painful and
Sure.
sore. And you can even get those cysts aspirated. So, just awful experience with that. And no one ever said that it could have to do with your hormones. They said, well, we know that if you drink too much caffeine, it can cause fibrocystic breasts. And I was like, I drink 1 cup of coffee a day. I
Like,
really
that's
don't
not it.
think that's it. And they were like, well, we just don't know. We just don't know. And I think that's the experience of so many women regardless of the symptoms. If it's painful periods, if it's unexplained weight gain, if it's having a difficult perimenopause and menopause. What you said is those are all a symptom. Hormone
That's right.
imbalances are a symptom of what's going on inside your body. And that is why I always encourage women to seek out a functional medicine practitioner versus a traditional doctor, because functional medicine seeks to get to the root
That's right.
of the issue instead of just telling you, oh, we don't know what causes this, which it blows my mind that OBGYNs know almost nothing about hormones. Because, like you said, hormones drive everything.
They
It's
do.
our gut health, it's our brain chemicals, it's our mood, it's depression, anxiety. All so much of our body's system is hormone driven, and it is just insane to me that medical school isn't putting more focus on this. And it can be so frustrating. And as I was saying, while I had the fibrocystic breasts, I did go get hormone labs and found out
Hmm.
that I had excessive estrogen.
Hmm.
And still, the only solution they had for me was to put me on progesterone to try to
Balance it out.
bring the balance a little. But nobody ever said, let's look into what is causing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no clue until I started researching because of the breast cancer that toxins could play into this. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think that is something that a lot of women are completely unaware of. Can you speak
Agreed.
to that for just a second? Because I think that is really important for women to hear
Yes.
and understand.
Yes, and for about 10 years, I really focused on getting out before COVID and giving talks and seminars in regard to this part because I think it's a huge missing link for women. They might take supplements or change other things in their lifestyle or work on nervous system regulation and things, but the product piece is so important, and there's such a lack of regulation in the United States that I really urge people to look at their product labels. There's nothing in most states that would dictate that a company has to tell you that their product contains hormone disrupting chemicals, cancer causing chemicals, all these terrible things. California is the only state that, if you were in CVS next to your product, they have to legally tell you that there are hormone disrupting chemicals in their product. And I actually have a picture because I spoke out in California quite a few times, and I posted that on my social media. But it's so overwhelming because we have kids to take care of, we have careers, we have significant others. The last thing we're thinking is that the government isn't protecting us from these chemicals, where all of these other countries, the European nations, Australia, Japan, Canada, they're way more strict. But these chemicals, if you think about your shampoo or your lotions, your makeup, if you wear makeup, they're going right through your skin. And one study stated it was 26 seconds it's in your bloodstream. Think of the things that come in a patch form. If you put on a nicotine patch, they even have insulin patches now, how quickly it's absorbed and it bypasses your digestive system. So that's straight on disruption right there. So really important to look at that. Plastics, all the bottled water. Wow, what a great marketing tactic, and how much money they're making with bottled water, right? The bottled water and the plastic going in there again, mimicking estrogen and just skyrocketing estrogen levels. The Tupperwares and heating up food and the takeout to go containers. It's just overwhelming. So you have to, take it one thing at a time. I tell people, when you run out of shampoo, I have a list on my website. Go and check and see if you have any of these cancer causing or hormone disrupting chemicals in it. And then you have to make the choice. Now, knowledge is power, but you have to do something with it. You're at a crossroads. Someone has told you, like, this is causing damage to your body, and you're still trying to use it. I say the 80-20 rule because my hair is clearly not this color naturally, and I paint my nails. But
Ditto.
it's the things that you do every day, that toxic body burden. And when you talk about your estrogen, one of the things I find with women that have high estrogen is that they're not clearing it. Your liver is really important to clear excess hormones and excess estrogen. And the doctor's certainly not talking to the patient about, oh, do you want to do a liver detox or maybe do some castor oil packs? And that's important because we're so inundated by these toxins. And people will argue that, hey, the body is made to get rid of toxins, but not at this level. We were never exposed or made to be able to keep up with this. And sometimes when I would do an in-person seminar, I'd show a bowl and then I'd have a picture of water, and I'm like, these are your detox pathways. These are all the toxins. Just that you can't live in a bubble that you're exposing your body to. It just can't keep up. So we do need to do some of these things in order to help our body clear not only toxins, but the extra estrogen and hormones.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I discovered in my research is that it's the estrogen circulating in your body that is a problem because
Hmm.
if you have too much, my breast cancer was estrogen positive. It's
Hmm.
estrogen driven, and now I have to
Hmm.
take estrogen blockers to,
Hmm.
prevent the estrogen from sticking, I guess, if
Hmm.
you will. But detoxing that out is huge. And if you have too many toxins coming in, your liver is too busy and it can't filter out the estrogen fast enough. So it's
That's right.
all circulating. And I just it's mind blowing. that when I had my oncologist, I would ask, what are some of the things I can be doing? I know I'm going to get chemotherapy and radiation and have the mastectomy, but what can I also do to support that? What do I need to be eating? What kind of things should I stay away from? And the only thing he said, eat whatever you want, because
I've
I
heard
don't
this
want you
over
to
and over
lose
again from
weight. I
so
don't
many
want you
people.
to lose weight. I don't want you to get too thin while you're on chemotherapy because you're going to, have nausea and things like that. And nothing was mentioned whatsoever about toxins. The only thing that he said was it's not a good idea to drink very much alcohol, or it's better to drink none while you're getting chemotherapy. And then in the research I did, drinking alcohol greatly increases your risk of cancers. And I even went back after that, after I was cancer free, just in my follow up appointments, and mentioned that. And the doctor said, "Oh, I've never heard that. I'll have to look into that."
Isn't it mind-boggling? And again, we need doctors, right? You get in a car accident, you want someone to help you out, right? But it's so important to be your own advocate and really look into things for your family. And there's good and bad, obviously, on Dr. Google. But there, if you see an overlapping theme, it's probably fact over, just being an influencer out there. And that's the good thing is that I've had to do that for my family before I went to school. And, my son, similar thing, got health issues. And they said, well, if you think you're going to give him spirulina and heal his gut, that's not going to work. It was almost like so condescending sometimes, where they just don't know, or they'll just say, no, like, his GI specialist at Children's, which is one of the probably the best hospital for kids' GI in the whole country. And I said the gluten and the inflammatory foods, and the doctor said no. But you know what? They gave me a list of foods to eat to get him to go to the bathroom, like fiber one bars, all this processed food. I'm like, oh my gosh, like these are the specialists. And that's the reason that I am here today, because I'm like, we need more people out there sharing information and hope for longevity and healing.
Yes. And I don't ever in any way mean that Western medicine is not valuable, because it is really good at a lot of things. It saved my life,
Yes.
chemotherapy, and the research
Hmm.
that went into the specific drugs for the specific kind of cancer I had. If you have a heart attack, if you have, like you said, a car accident, some urgent, of course, we thank God that all that is in place. They're great at testing certain things and diagnosing, and they're good at more immediate issues.
Hmm.
But for me, what's missing is the prevention side. So we don't have health care, we have sick care.
Yes.
So the medical system doesn't jump in until there already is an issue. And that is one of the big reasons I went in to nutrition and taking care of the whole body, not just the food and the body movement, but also the stress and the self-care and the downtime, all of those things, because prevention, if you prevent these things, you're never going to need all of the other stuff, or at least 80% of it, most likely.
So true.
You can, unless you have, a big family history or something crazy. And if I had had prevention with my hormones and known early on, I took birth control for 25 years. If I'd known early on that all of those things, that the high estrogen, the birth control, the toxins, alcohol could contribute to that, I might have been able to take more preventative measures. So let's talk about the next phase, because when women come to you and they're having these issues, I work on those foundational things. I do the things that you are really in control of, and those are so important for supporting your liver. You need to eat well, you need to treat your gut well, you need to have a healthy lifestyle. But like you said, if you're doing all those things, if you have those things in place, but there's still imbalances, you're still experiencing symptoms like you did with the excess weight and the feeling hot flashes and not feeling good and all of that. You say that doing the labs is critical. Tell me about that.
Yes, the labs don't lie. One of my favorite mottos is test, don't guess. When we have scientific data on what's actually going in our body, we can then help the body to get to a state of ease and balance. That's what your body is ultimately always looking for, ease and balance. When you have disease, listen to the word dis-ease. Your body is in dis-ease. So when we do labs, we can see how the systems are communicating. And when I say systems, we're talking about all the functions, the hormones. Yes, those are signals, and we do want to see where they're at. But I don't just run a hormone test on someone because you're still left with, but why? So we have to look at the constellation of healing opportunities. We have to look at the immune system. How is the immune system being affected? How is your digestive system, which is gut health, is everything. 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Your mood, your brain, your nervous system, there's so much to the digestion, absorbing amino acids. Are you getting the nutrients from your food? So much in that piece. Energy production. Are you converting the food to energy? Do you have the right mineral balances? All of that's very important. We look at detoxification. Again, are you clearing the hormones? Are you getting toxins out of your body? Are you recirculating things? Do you have, an overgrowth that can't get out of your body of candida or SIBO or going on and things like that? So we have to look at detoxification. Can you even get that out of your body? And then the nervous system. We have to look at the nervous system to see how is it affecting your nervous system, because if your nervous system is inflamed, you're going to be spiking cortisol all day long, even though you don't mean to. And that's a problem. So we have to look at all of the labs, and then we don't treat symptoms. When you go to a doctor, even if it's a functional medicine doctor, they still treat a symptom like, oh, okay, let's make the headache go away. Okay, let's make the bloat go away. We give the body what it needs based on your personalized lab results. And we let the body, the show Price is Right. I love that show. It's just a childhood memory. Remember the little Klinko game where the little chips just go down? I
Oh,
describe it
yeah.
like that. Like we look at the whole picture. I don't treat the paper, which I do believe a lot of doctors don't have time to listen and get to know their patients. They're treating paper, not the person. So I have an extensive intake where I listen. We look at patterns over a lifetime, maybe even before a lifetime. The whole other episode, but we look at everything and where you are today, what are the symptoms today, and match that up to what we have science showing us on your functional labs. And then we create a self-treat protocol where you can not address the symptoms, but address the body as a whole, feed it what it needs to either kick out bad bacteria, get your liver working again, get your stomach acid back up. We don't decide like we're going to work on this or we're going to work on this. We feed the body everything. Your body is made, biologically wired to heal. I mean, one of my favorite documentaries is Heal. I don't know if you've seen that, but we can feed the body, and you also have to have the mindset piece. That's part of the whole health process. Is if you don't believe it, you're gonna have a hard time. Or if you have a lot of negative beliefs or limiting beliefs, you can have a hard time getting the body back to that state of ease and balance. But we have science on those labs to say these things are physically off. So let's help the body get those things healing, and then you start to restore function. That's what we do as functional medicine practitioners: is restore function in the body. One of the things I like to say is, if you have your cell phone open and you have a lot of tabs open, what happens to your phone? It starts to slow down, right? So when you start to have all these things, these pop-up symptoms, I say it might start with a headache, then now you're constipated, now you can't sleep. You started with one symptom, but now you got all these tabs open. What I do is I take the labs, correlate it back, and we start to close out some of those tabs so that you restore function to the body. And whoop, that symptom's gone. Whoop, that symptom's gone. And then you can maintain it with all the wonderful foundational principles that you teach people, because no matter what the labs say, Sarah, you and I know we still have to do the things. There's no magic pill. We can help restore function, but then it's your responsibility to maintain them. And so it's important that they learn those things with you.
Yeah, and it's so great that once you have the information, when you have the data, you can see exactly what's going on because like you
Hmm.
said, the body's natural state is health.
Hmm.
That is what our body is always
Hmm.
working to go back to. That is why
Hmm.
your liver keeps working to get rid of those toxins.
Hmm.
That's why your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing. It's to keep us alive and well. And when you're sick, you need to rest. And when you're
You
tired,
have
you
to
need to
listen to your
rest.
body or you'll
You
get the smack
do.
down.
You do. But I think what you're saying about getting the labs is really a mind opening because until we know really what's going on, I work with people on that foundational stuff because that has to be in place. You do have to start eating well. You do have to start moving your body. You need to get the minerals and the nutrients that your body needs. You need the macronutrients. You need to make sure you're getting a good balance of the fats and the proteins. And plenty of fiber, all of those things, or the labs aren't going to help you because if you know what you're dealing with, but you don't do the actions,
Amen.
it's not going to
Amen.
work. It's not going
I
to
just had a
work.
client yesterday who texted me, and she's afraid to do some of her detox stuff. It can be scary and overwhelming. That's where, having a community and support is important. But, she said she was really constipated and when is it going to change? And the question is, well, when are you going to change your behaviors, right? Like you have to do the things for the symptoms to change.
Yeah, there's no easy pill. And that's why you and
So
I do what we do. And that's why we work with our clients at a much deeper level. Doctors
that's right.
don't have time for that. They are required to see so many patients a day and they can only spend so much time.
Hmm.
And so and we believe in what we're doing and we truly want to help women take back control of their health. And before
Yes.
we finish, I wanted to mention going back to all those toxins that we were talking about and finding what we should look out for, what we need to avoid, how to find the right things. I understand that you have a gift for anyone listening that they can go and download the 10 chemicals hurting your hormones.
Yes.
Can they get that on your website and where would that be?
Yes, so we'll definitely post the link. However, they could just go to confidentlyloveyourself.com. And I have a wellness toolbox that not only has that list, but also has a lot of other free resources and guides, to checking food labels and lots of good stuff out there that, is free.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is incredible information, and I'm so glad that we were able to come together to help reach more women so that they can understand what's really going on and take the steps they need to get better and to be healthy for decades to come. So I want to thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me. Again, I like to say sharing is caring. So it's really
Yes.
important that people share and get the information out to more women.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here. Until next time, I'll see you then.